Good afternoon. Welcome to the Community Relations, Recreation and Activities Board Special Board Meeting. We're going to call the meeting order to at 6:21 p.m.
Meeting is called to order.
Roll call. Christine Banks. Flo Wright. Here. Angelina Roberts. Here. Brian Dennis.
Here.
Kimberly Downer. Here. Invocation.
Give them wisdom and knowledge and skill, Lord, that they may be able to keep us going in this city with good information, right information, and to take care of the people in this city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to have our Park and Recreations report from our Park and Recreation Director, Ms. Zonia Ray.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
As to give you an update on what we have going on in Parks and Recreation, we have our Fun Day at Ingram Park, which is rescheduled from June 3rd to June 10th at Ingram Park. We're ongoing with registration right now for summer camp as well as the football and cheer program. We also have the track and field banquet on Saturday, June 10th in the afternoon as well. Also, we did receive the information for the scholarship for our high school graduates. Let me pull up right now to give you an update on that. And the application, it has the objective and guidelines on the requirements on who will be qualified for the scholarships. We haven't received any as of yet, but we want to get it out to the community as soon as possible so that we can try to get those young lady or young men's their scholarship information before they actually leave. But it probably won't happen before they leave to go to school, because most of them start school in the summer, because that's a requirement now that they have to do that summer incoming once they graduate from high school. So once we receive those applications, we will send them off to you all in an email so that y'all can review the scholarships and you get back with the secretary of your board, and she will make sure that I get the information, and we'll make sure you get the information in regard to each one of those students that applied for the scholarship this year.
Ms. Ray, when is the application due?
I don't think they gave us a deadline, did they? Yeah. It's, I don't think I got it. We'll make sure you get it, the deadline.
Okay. Like to have it, moving on to letter F, discussion. We'd like to begin with funding for the Community Relations and Activity Board.
Move it. Second.
Have a move move by Ms. Banks, second by Ms. Roberts. Open for discussion.
Flo Wright. Yes. Angelina Roberts.
Yes.
Brian Dennis.
Yes.
Kimberly Downer,
Yes.
Christine Banks.
Yes.
Thank you.
I wanted to begin with the funding from this board based on the assumption of what the other board was supposed to have grown. And one of the reasons why we was asking for the finance director to appear so we can have a guideline of what this budget actually would look like. The one thing that we do not want to do is start pulling money from other departments and get short somewhere. And so it was key. And I thank you, Mr. Manager, for appearing and being a part of this board so that we could get an understanding on what we will have to do in order to make this board to become feasible, to then begin to do the work in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we can work with and actually look forward to working with this board on specific items. It is a lot of effort for us for me as city manager, to require that additional directors, particularly doing, financial oversight, particularly doing submission of 3 audits in less than 12 months. So our finance department, our budget and administration department is really, really strapped right now. However, I'm able to provide any answers that you need regarding the budget and our finances. With regard to the item that was brought forward to the city commission meeting regarding the $500,000, that was not a budgeted item. So we as the city administration would have had to determine what projects are not going to move forward, which departments we're going to pull money from in order to fund that item if it had moved forward. So that was not a budgeted item.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Ms. Roberts?
Chair, I have some suggestion on how to make it work. I hear $500,000.
Excuse me, the young lady right here said that she's on this board, Commissioner Bass, elected her.
Let me see. Selected.
I recommend she be seated beside the clerk.
Thank you.
Request that the clerk acknowledge the new member.
Okay, I have a suggestion on how to make some of these things work. I am fully aware that most of the people that is running this great city do not have any business experience. And I think that's where the breakdown comes. First and foremost, we need to get a route of how we're gonna make things work far as the Arabian Night. I'm gonna go straight to the Arabian Night Festival because that seems to be the biggest issue that we're having right now. We don't have funding for it, $500,000, and we don't have a budget for. We don't have a budget. In order to commit to a budget, we have to have a budget. If you don't have a budget, you can't commit to something that you don't have. And I think that's the downside of trying to make this Arabian Night Festival successful. Getting a route, getting invites out to all the local communities, these bands that we have in the community, far as the colleges and the high schools, and with a recommendation of us giving them a donation for them participating. Also having members come to some form of number on what we're gonna charge our vendors so that we'll do it on a 3-day basis so that we'll have everything in black and white. Those are the first 3 things that we need to do. We have, everybody seems to throw the money out there, but we don't have the money. And if we don't have it, we don't have it. And we don't need a financial impact with this city in order to make the Arabian Night Festival come back to the city of Opa-locka. I don't think that's fair to the residents. I don't think that's fair to everyone that lives here. So if we get a route, we get invitations out, get response, get deadlines in place, then that'll tell us exactly what we're working with at this particular point. The logistics of it has to be drawn out. I don't know why the complete dais didn't attend, but these are things that everybody need to be aware of. And to make changes, we all have to get involved in the Arabian Night. It's not about the city manager taking responsibility for $500,000. I don't think it's fair. We don't have $500,000. And if we don't have it, we do not have $500,000. And I do know sitting here, it doesn't take $500,000 to get the Arabian Night back here. We have to take baby steps. And once you take the baby steps, it's going to tell you where you need to go the following year. The first year is to get it back here. Once you get it back here, then you put everything else in place. We don't have the manpower here to run everything that everybody's asking for. That means we have to get private entities to come in here and do private duty, make sure that we contract them out so that they'll get paid. All these things come with an expense. And I don't think anybody taking that under consideration. That is my thought process on the Arabian Night and the funding right now of the $500,000. I think it's not a big number. I don't think it's a big number when you're trying to do something big, but right now the city is not in a stable enough situation where we can throw $500,000 and not affect the employees and the residents of the city of Opa-locka. That's my personal opinion about it.
Chair, may I speak, please?
Ms. Banks, through the chair.
To the city manager, I do recall them requesting information in the commission meeting. In order for us to even think about an Arabian Nights festival, we do need to have a synopsis of what it would entail. To just have our police department come out alone to be there for Arabian Night would cost us 125 grand, maybe even more. So I think even if we thought about it, we should have some type of synopsis that tells us what it entails. What would we need in order to have the Arabian Nights? If I'm not mistaken, that information has already been requested through the commission meeting. Whatever package, if possible, can be submitted to us here on the board also, so that we can look at it and see and work with you. Again, let me remind you that this board is here to assist our commission and our city manager, our staff, in making better decisions for our community. So I think we can't move forward and spend money that we don't have unless we have something that says, it's just like if you're going to pay your light bill, you need to know how much the light bill is. So we need to have a synopsis of what it entails in order to have the Arabian Nights, to have anything.
That's true.
The request to have certain people here tonight, I understand, and I heard you say that you're going to represent all of them that are here. I'm going by what I was told in the last meeting, information pertaining to finances, and if that money was available or not. If that money is not available, then we don't need to be trying to pull up debt for the city, because we already know what that entails, because we're experiencing that right now. We want to pull out of debt. We want to make sure that we're sovereign and that we have money to be able to do any kind of event that any of our commissioners want to do, any of them. So I think once that package is prepared, if that package can also, if you want to sum it up, sum it down, if that package can be submitted to the board here amongst us, we can look at it also and determine what it's going to take. getting out to the vendors, getting out to our community, getting with the people that we can get donations from, then we can tell if we have enough money to go with it. But we can't just keep spending money with the city and we don't have money. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do anything, nothing. So that's that's my recommendation. Our recommendation at the previous meeting was to have these people here to ask questions, since we did not have anything here in front of us that would give us a breakdown of what it's going to take. Police department would need to be there. We need to find out where the money is going to come from to finance the rest of it, even if we had 125, even if the city gave us 125. Where's the rest going to come? You can't put on an Arabian Nights with 125 grand. We all know that, okay? So a synopsis of what it would entail, and I think that means staff has, your staff or whoever's going to be assisting the city manager with this, would have to actually look into these things and see what is it going to entail? What are we going to have? What kind of venues are we going to? I'm just IEing with Ms. Roberts. What would we need there in order to accomplish the Arabian Nights if we want to bring it back? I'm not for spending money for the city if we don't have it. That's my recommendation.
Mr. Manager, the one thing that this board does not want to do is have you being pulled in many different directions. We definitely would like to be in a position to support you, but we don't want you being pulled in many different directions. And that's why we ask for the department heads and for other members of different boards to appear. The one thing that we want to do is to represent the commission who put us up here as best that we can, so that the city could get back to being the city. Not make it seem like you don't know what you're doing, or to make it seem as if you're playing some type of game. That's not what we're about. What we're about is trying to ask the best questions from the best possible people with those departments that could give us answers, so that in that representation, that gives you the authority and it makes you look better. Not to have you answer for everyone else. And we already know that you have state orders to be concerned about.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So we want to be able to support you. I solely agree with my colleagues, what Ms. Roberts and Ms. Banks says. For instance, when we're talking about putting on the Arabian Nights Festival, we know that the sidewalks could be marked off from different vendors. We know that. We know that we're going to have to charge these vendors a certain price. So let's say we cannot get a Florida anymore, but don't cook them to something like that. But we can bring something. We have local high school bands. We have Florida Memorial that has its own band. So we can be able to move. All we're looking for is a direction. We're looking for a direction and something to move, and not have you sit on our meeting, then go back to the commission in another meeting, and then have to go upstairs and start doing some other stuff for the state. It's only one you.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be able to support you in the best way that we possibly can.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I came here for us to do the work. And yes, and for this board to assist with making some decisions. Now, as far as the information, for example, the question that Chairwoman Banks asked, that answer is going to be the same whether it comes from myself, which it did, or it comes from Mrs. Walker, the finance director. At the end of the day, these are the people that report to me, and I am to facilitate providing that information. So I intend to treat you no different than we treat the commission. If there's an item that that requires some additional detail, absolutely, I will do whatever I can to have those people there. Right now, whether it be for an agenda briefing meeting or any other board meetings, we just don't have the budget and finance staff right now available for attendance. I have a budget administrator in the office right now working on the budgets. So to pull that additional resource, and we're going to end up lacking in another area, we just don't have it. And I will make sure that you have the information that you need. I came here to work. I came here with being able to answer your questions, whether it be from community development, whether it be from police, whether it could be from budget administrator. I'm a finance guy myself. My specialties are in law and finance. So I'm here. That's the original reason why I was brought to the city, was to assist with to write the financial recovery plan. So I'm prepared to provide you with the information, but I'm also prepared and challenge you all. Let's get to work. What I'd love for us to discuss are what are the steps that we need to look at as far as what it's going to look like so that we can. So with that information, I can now task someone in administration, say, go find out how much this costs, go find out how much this costs. But I would like to hear from the board. Are we doing 1 day? Are we doing 2 days? Are we doing 3 days? Are we going to, I think one of the first things we need to do is we're going to have to, what I would love your support in doing is making a determination on who's going to be the production company. We're going to have a production company. Has anybody reached out to whoever did Nomi Fest? Has anybody reached out to whoever did Jazz in the Gardens to get and help us with those kind of decisions that we really just don't have the staff right now to work on so that we can push this thing forward. I would love that kind of support because I do believe that we can get to Chairwoman Roberts' point. We may not be able to pull off a $500,000 event next year, but we might be able to pull out a $250,000 event next year. So what do we need to include and what do we need to take out in order to move that forward? If we get $125,000 from the city, I think we can pull off another $100,000 from grants and maybe another $100,000 from fees, from sponsorship fees. Let's look at that. Let's start working on putting together a sponsorship package and say, this is what we're going to charge somebody to be the keynote sponsor. We're going to charge an Amazon $100,000 to put their brand everywhere throughout the city for 3 days. We're going to charge Opa-locka flea market $50,000 to have a after party at the Opa-locka flea market from our event. So these are the conversations that I'm ready to do the work with you guys on so we can move this item forward.
Mr. Manager, that's the direction that we'll talk about looking in. So we know that we would need bids from a production company. If we don't have a problem with doing the groundwork. We know what we want to do as far as for the city and the representation of the commission and yourself. So we're looking at the police. We know that our police force may not be entirely a part of the Arabian Nights Festival. We might have to bring in police officers from other places. So we might have to ask for in-kind services. So we're also looking at, like you're saying, keynote speakers, sponsorships, and things of that nature. We're looking at all of this stuff right now. And so now what we need to do now is put together sponsorship package letters. So all of these things would then begin to take place and unshape itself, hopefully within the next 60 to 90 days. At least we would have a direction in what we're moving in the direction that we're moving into. So I am in totally agree with you, and the board we will take the matter up and discuss it. The one thing that we definitely want to do is make sure that we have proper vendors. We want our events to be advertised and we want them to be attended well, just like Nomi Fest. We might not can't get the crowd Miami Gardens get with Jazz in the Gardens, but we can get a crowd. And who's to say that we can't do it? I got Miss Flo in my ear, so
I absolutely feel confident that we can do it. I do.
Okay, so
yeah,
what we're looking at doing, and we don't want to violate the Sunshine Law or anything like that, but we will bring these things up, and we will have a direction at our next meeting on how we need to move the different vendors that we would like to have as far as productions to see what they could give us as in competitive bidding, so that we could take the right bid, not the highest bid or the lowest bid, but the best bid for the city. And we will recommend those that will help bring the Arabian Nights from a discussion into fruition so that our citizens could be able to enjoy the festival that it once had. So I really appreciate you on giving us that direction. Ms. Valdez through the chair.
I agree with my colleagues. I mean, it takes planning and it takes, right now, we don't have the funds to do it. And we don't want to do a mediocre festival just because we just want to do it. So like I said, I'm willing to just sit down and plan with the city and see what we could bring. And why not? We could probably bring a bigger crowd than the other Jazz in the Gardens and so forth.
Our next item up for discussion would be funding for the replacement of the playground on Shabani Park, the equipment.
Right now, we have, well, the FERDAP grant is one of the things that we're looking at utilizing for that replacement. We also have some assistance with the ARPA funds. But the problem, well, not the problem is what we want to do is make sure we get all our grants in place just in case they require a reimbursement. So we're really careful when we got grants out there that we don't spend a penny, because if it's a penny spent before the grant is received, we don't get that money back. We don't get it reimbursed. So we've got some resources ready to go. We're waiting on final responses for those grants, and then we'll pull the trigger. If we get the grants, fantastic. The city doesn't have to spend the money. If we don't get the grants, then we'll be able to spend the money, knowing that this is money coming right out of our general fund.
Ms. Roberts, through the chair.
Okay, with that being said, the only issue that we have with the playgrounds itself, Shabani Playground has to be replaced as soon as possible. It's the park that's most used, and we need it, and it's open. If you don't make the completion, we don't make the changes now, we're gonna find ourselves in a negative situation with Shabani Park. Most of the activities are ran at Shabani Park, so that's a little here or there situation. Another issue with the camera system on Shabani Park, we need to make a recommendation that I'm all for a radio night. I think Shabani Park and Ingram Park should have some form of camera system. And I'm gonna tell you why. If we spent $100,000 to put fencing up at the parks, it's no way that the community should be breaking the fence. And we not knowing who's breaking the fence. I think that's ridiculous. We don't have the manpower. I know that we have the police department. We make known, I am a part of the police department. I do believe sometime we got to think outside of the box. When people see the police, they're not gonna do anything wrong. When the police gone, that's when the trouble comes. You know, when you have people walking on the park, jumping the fence, tearing up the fence at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, that's ridiculous. But these are the same people in the community say, oh, the parks are so raggedy, we don't have anything, but this is where we live at. And that's one of my pet peeves. I'm all for Ingram Park being fixed also, but I do believe you don't patch things up. You don't waste money just to waste money. And we have a big problem with wasting money in Opa-locka. We'll spend $20,000 on something we know dead, and then we'll look for them same $20,000 in 3 months. That doesn't make sense. If you fix it properly from the beginning, you don't have those issues. That applies to everybody. You know, I walked to Ingram Park and I said, oh my God. They said, oh, we're repairing the park. I said, no comment. And that was my opinion on it. Anybody knows me, I don't throw anything together. I don't be a part of anything that's thrown together. I believe that if you do it right from the beginning, it doesn't cost us that double money. And the expenses on our park system, they have been ran down for the last 15 or 20 years. We get hit for it now, but it's the last 20 years and nobody never said anything about it. Now the parks are such an issue. You know, we have the parking lots. If I'm going to repair the parks, let me tell you how I would repair Ingram Park. All the wood would have been replaced around Ingram Park first before I did anything on the park. To clean it up, you're just cutting grass and planting some trees you ain't gonna water anyway. The parking lot should have been painted. Those are things that make your park upbuild. We put a trail out there when the team building should have had a demolition done on that building. It takes time to do those things. Nothing happens overnight. I know they want to use the park. I grew up on that side. I know they want to use the park, but why waste the money? Stop living for the moment. Long haul, we want our parks to represent the city of Opa-locka. You know, you go to all the white parks, the green parks, the blue parks, everybody park. Oh, they look so good. Give us the opportunity to fix our parks the proper way. But we need a playground system at Shabani Park, and we need it as soon as possible. I see kids playing on it all the time. I mean, it's a straight liability. You know, they really need to do a demolition on all the parks. Ingram Park playground should be moved to the back blues. It's gonna flood out anyway. So if you put it back there in the back blues, we ain't wasting no money. We're not losing no money because we're gonna put it in the back blues. It's gonna flood out until they fix the situation in the back blues. It's underground. Every time it rains, it's gonna go underground anyway. So why take another 60,000 and put a playground system back there when it's gonna flood out? You take the one from Ingram Park and you put it back there, and it's decent. It's a nice playground system. It's not torn up or anything like that. Siegel Park, it need to be condemned. The swing sets, everything are gone. But if you don't do any repairs in 20 years, it's no way nobody on the dais and in the city of Opa-locka think that the city is going to make the correction overnight.
Mr. Chair, you know, I always speak out of turn. If you would allow me to speak out of turn one more time tonight.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Thank you so much. I know that the CRA was invited to the meeting. So I have to ask the city manager, is it possible, because I know that the CRA is sitting on a lot of money, is it possible that the CRA could help us replace the playground area in our parks, starting with Shabundi?
Absolutely. I believe it's in the CRA master plan, and every item that's in the CRA master plan, the CRA is actually supposed to execute on. So not only is it possible, they are compelled, unless that plan is changed or amended by the board, to do all the activities that are within their CRA plan.
Okay, because we're all new at this, including myself. Can you possibly give us an idea as to, because the CRA is not here, as to what do we do to tell, like, do we inform them in email form that we are moving forward and we would like X amount of dollars from them to get our playground going? Or, because I could lead that part. I just need direction.
Well, that's one way it could be worded.
Okay.
Another way it could be worded is to make the request that item that is in the CRA master plan be executed on as the city is moving forward. I think that might be a little nicer.
Okay, I just need to know direction, because, you know, Park and Rec, they put the nice caution signs, like blocking it off. And our lovely children, because they just want to play, they take it off. So the only thing that we could do to keep us out of liability is to remove the playground. And then it would be nice so that we removed it, but we can tell them on June 15th, there's going to be an installation of another one. So I'm sorry that the CRA did not appear tonight, but I would most definitely mention this.
I think with a request like that, it will get done, and I hope that it get done, because I believe and hope that the CRA actually wants to execute on some of the items. Perhaps I know we're all looking at the CRA, and I think the CRA gets beat up a little bit, but it may be that when you're being pulled from 9 different directions, that it's hard to tell which direction is going. But I think if you have a board that says, hey, we've coordinated with the parks, we've coordinated with the city administration, this item is ready to move forward, it's already in your master plan, let's get it done. I'd like to think with that kind of voice, that the entire board and the administration for the CRA get it done. And that's really if it's already in the master plan, it is just a matter of bringing a resolution to direct the executive director to get it done.
Okay, did you hear that, Chairman? Did you hear that, Chairman? Did you hear that, Madam Secretary? Okay, thank you. If you could please CC me in the email, I would appreciate it. You need my email address? Okay, thank you.
No vice mayor.
Chair, Chair.
Thank you.
Ms. Roberts through the chair.
Okay, we have, the CRA has $4 million. We shouldn't have to beg them for anything. I do believe that it's not the CRA personal money and everything to upbuild the city of Opa-locka. Everybody should be on board with it. And the time, I mean, we didn't get $4 million overnight. It's been a while and nobody have said anything about moving getting the CRA to really actually, I know meetings are taking place. I know all of those things have occurred, but how do you really actually force them to get it done? You know, I don't want nobody with a title, you know, the title thing that drives me crazy. I believe that if we have $4 million, we need to take the $4 million and do what we have to do to make the corrections in the city. And that's just my personal opinion on it.
Ms. Valdez through the chair.
Right. I have a suggestion. Why don't we just meet with the CRA? Have have the CRA come and meet with us and see what are their plans, because together, you know, I know we asked them to come and there's no one from the CRA, but maybe we could meet with you and the CRA so we could get this done, because I agree with Ms. Roberts. I mean, we need to get the city going, and sitting on $4 million, that's not doing nothing for our city.
Through the chair to board member Wright. It's unfortunate that the CRA wasn't available to come and meet with you all, but as the saying goes, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, Muhammad must go to the mountain.
Exactly.
The CRA has board meetings that have public forums and presentations for residents and interested persons to speak on how they think the CRA should be operating and move. And I think that could be a very, very effective way to have your voice heard and to participate in the process.
That part.
Ms. Banks through the chair.
City Manager, I want to ask you a question, please, if you don't mind. I understand we have 4 million in the CRA. I understand that we requested someone to be here tonight so that we could shed some light on some of this and answer some of the questions. I have obtained some information myself from the state on the CRA and information pertaining to what we have there. I would like to ask one question. How much money is it going to cost us to replace the playground at Shabandi Park? How much money would it cost to make the changes at Ingram Park? Not Ingram, Siegel Park. Do we have figures of how much it would cost to do these things in order to see how or what we're going to push to get grants for? I don't know how you're doing it. I mean, I'm a lady that talks money. I worked in Parks and Recreation, and I dealt with the finances of Parks and Recreation. When we needed something, I had to go and find out what the cost would be in order to hand it to the boss to say, this is what it's going to cost us. How and where do we get this money? And then I would leave it to him to go find it. You know, like the kids say, we found it. So I'm saying, how much does it cost right now to obtain or do you have any quotes on anything of what the cost would be to replace the playground at Shabandi Park right now? Because I understand you mentioned that you're working on grants to get the money in. So you do have some kind of idea on what the cost is going to be, right?
Through the chair to board member Banks, absolutely. In order to apply for grants, you have to provide them with quotes of what the cost is going to be. So we have our Parks and Recreation Department has, and our Capital Improvement Projects Department has quotes on everything that we want to get done in our parks. That's also how we also make how I, as a city manager, make my budget. So I have to move numbers around to make sure that I have the money to cover it is what we want to do before I can present it to the commission for approval. So we have itemized cost on every single item that we want to do in our parks, and I have no problem providing that information to the entire board, and we'll do so by close of business tomorrow. In addition, the only thing is that Ingram Park is in phases. We have broken down Ingram Park into 2 phases. Phase 1 will be the installation of will be about $500,000, and that will be the installation of a track that includes a football field and a soccer field at Ingram Park, and that includes the redoing of the parking, as board member Roberts had identified. Phase 2 requires the installation of phase 2 requires replacement of the basketball court, reinstallation of the kids playground, and also what was the tennis court would be, I think they're calling it a wiffle board. Is that wiffle? Okay. Pickleboard. Okay. I don't play pickleboard, so I couldn't remember what that was. And then phase 3 will be a multi-million-dollar project, as we're looking to install an additional parks building on Ingram Park. So those are the 3 phases that we have. We're close to getting the funding completed for phase 1, which will be putting that track, football field, and soccer field on Ingram Park and replacing those parking lots. And we've already started the discussion with Miami-Dade County, and a private investor who is willing to provide us some funding for phase 2. So we are moving forward with Ingram Park. As I said, we have applied for grants for both Shabundi and for Single Park, and we're just waiting for those grants to say either yes or no, so that we can get the green light, or what I can provide is what is called a notice to proceed.
To say is I would like to, you've already mentioned that we will have a copy of that at the next meeting. I would like to see that and know how much money it's going to cost for us to get done for Shabandi, because I realize we're not going to make it before the summer gets here for the kids. Because if we're still trying to get grant money, I mean, that could take months. Some grants can take years. So, I mean, it appears right now we will not be able to accommodate the community kids in our community right now. And I do want to know how much the estimates or the quotes that you have state what it's going to cost to repair or redo. I think it totally needs to be redone. But I want to look at the money. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be pushy. I don't want to work you any harder than you are and all that you're going through. But I'm a money lady. I like to see the money. I like to know if I got the money, I can spend the money. If I don't have the money, I can't spend it. Okay. Or is it possible we can go out and we can get donations? We can do this. We can help. If we're waiting on a grant, we get a partial grant. Maybe we can get some of our community people to come in and help. I don't think any of our business owners would decline giving something to assist for kids in our community. I just don't see it. I mean, being a part of the community, I just don't see it. So I like to see the money. I think if I can see the money, you can get Ms. Banks to calm down.
Well, as I stated already,
because I want to see the money. I want to see the estimates for Shabani Park. I want to see the estimates for the Seagull Park. I think Ingram Park can be a revenue for us. I have many ideas on how to do that and bring in revenue for you through that park. There are many ways to do it and still utilize that park for our football. Anything we want to do in that park. Even aquatic with the water that we have back there. There are many things that we can do for the city of Opa-locka to bring in extra revenue that money can be put into Parks and Rec and put it in a line items that you want, that our commission and you, city manager, wants to do extra things for the city. But we do need to look at our finances. We need to manage our money. We need to manage it better than we've been doing. And it's an impossible task for you, just the city manager, because you got a team that I know works for you. And again, the questions that I had to ask were specifically for people who should have been here. CRA says they have 4 million. I want to see it. You know, I know that there's certain things that you can public records request. So I went to the state myself to find out. As a resident, I can do that. I can call up there and say, look, you know, I want to know such and such, because I'm a taxpayer here. So I mean, there's money there. I will not get into how much I was told, but there's money there that we can utilize for our community, that we can get Shabandi Park, Parks and Recreation Field done like that, okay? Now, our commission needs to come in line with our city manager and our director of Parks and Recreation and say, let's make it happen. We got the money. When you
Say it again.
I'm gonna reiterate, when you got your light bill to be paid, and you got the light bill in front of you, you know what you gotta pay.
Come on
And
now.
when you look at that bank account, you say, I don't have that much money. You got a problem. But if you're looking at that account and you got the money, I'm gonna pay the light bill. Now, is there anybody here who doesn't have these kind of finance? If you're not running your home this way, you're in debt. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. Again, city manager, I'm not beating you up. I'm just strictly, I'm a woman that looks at the money. I want to see the money because this is the way city of Opa-locka has reared me in my departments I worked in. You know, Ms. Banks, you're responsible for the money. So I want to see the money. I want to know how much it's going to cost. And I'm not going to get nosy and say, what grants are you in? I'm going to stay in my place as a lady. I really am. Okay. But I really want to see what are those, and do we have estimates already on what it's going to cost us? So that when the city manager gets that money, he can say to our director, we have the money if we don't want to touch the CRA money. Again, we have CRA money. We have the money.
Chair.
I don't want to go into what the CRA represents, you know, in the charter. So I'm going to tone it down now. I want to see the money. I thank you. You did mention that we're going to have it, so I'm looking forward to that package. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
I'm trying to preface my comments. I really am. And as Ms. Banks stated, this is why we ask members of the different committees of the different departments to come. Now, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to do their job, Mr. Manager. But the one thing I do understand is economic development. I understand it to the fullest. I understand what the Community Reinvestment Act is supposed to be. Community Redevelopment Agency. I know what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to bring economic stability to the city. That's not what's happening. If you are sitting on a board with $4 million, now, let me give you my resume so that you know. I was the business coordinator for Neighbors and Neighbors Association. I worked for Leroy Jones. I administered a mom and pop grant for Leroy Jones. I also wrote grants for the businesses from Liberty City to Miami Gardens and got them revitalization money at $100,000 a piece. The only time that they would have to match those dollars is when it was inside the municipality. If we could spend $55,000 for a butterfly garden, which I do not have a problem of it because it's with Ms. Rose Titus, but that butterfly garden is not going to bring any economic development to the city. So now we're looking at one or two things. Either we have a chairman or a director that does not understand economic development. I've learned economic development under the late Arthur E. Till, former commissioner of the city of Miami, the first chairman of Miami-Dade County Commission. I understand what economic development is. If the CRA needs someone to chair that board, or it needs someone to become the director to move forth with economic development, then I'll raise my hand for the position. Because to sit on $4 million and then sit back and allow the county and the state to take the money back because there's no movement on it is a shame. It is a crying shame. Now that's ridiculous beyond call. To have $4 million just sitting there and nothing's being done with it. It's like somebody is having their own little slush fund. I watched the CRA meeting and I watched how they talked about how they want to hire a PR firm to do all this different thing. Sound like somebody trying to campaign, if you ask me. It ain't about campaigning when we're trying to build our city and get our city back on point. We have a part that at the drop of a dime, if $4 million is sitting in the account, there's no reason why that proposal shouldn't have been presented, ran through the manager's office or the director's office, approved by the city attorney, or by the CRA's attorney, and then have it voted on by the CRA board. That's just taking too long to do nothing. Just to say I'm the chair of the CRA, where's the economic development? Where's the process with this? City departments are one thing, but we know full well that that board has $4 million sitting there, and we have people sitting there that is not moving the money. So to sit up and know that these things are needed and to play games and to be disrespectful. And yes, I'm talking about you, Mr. Manager, how you were disrespected during several meetings. Yeah, I watched, I just didn't say anything. And this is what I mean by working along with you. We're not here to beat you up. I don't have time to run for I don't have time to run for election. I'm in school, so. You're trying to get a degree with God and trying to run a city is two different things. I'd rather have a degree with God first. I've seen people campaign and it hasn't done anything. But this $4 million that we have sitting here, this is beyond the Arabian Nights. We're talking about kids that want to play, that's going to take that caution tape off that playground where nobody's paying attention to them, with the park staff out there, they're going to do what they're going to do. And there's only so many staffers for so many kids that when those kids decide that in their mind that they want to play on that playground, they're not caring who's saying what. All they see is swings and slide boards. We have all been children, and I think that people have forgot they was once children before they came adults. So there's no misunderstanding about it. I will be at the CRA next meeting, and I will be voicing my opinion about it. Because either one or two things has to happen. Either the chairman got to go or the chairman and the CRA director got to go. I'm prefacing that. And I hope whoever's watching is hearing me say that. Because to sit on that type of money for over 2 to 3 to 4 years and nothing being done with it, but being threatened that it will be taken, and you still sitting there doing nothing, is ridiculous. It's almost what they say insanity is. It's just doing the same thing over and over, which is nothing. And we wonder why. And we wonder why we're stuck in neutral. We wonder why we're going in reverse. Because we have people that don't have the proper mindset to move everything forward because they're too busy doing something else other than what they are supposed to be doing or what the commission put them up there to do. I'll be at the next CRA meeting. Ms. Roberts, through the chair.
Okay, let me say this. This is not a personal attack on anybody. I just believe it's business, and your personal is your personal. And we have to get past the personal. I can like you or dislike you, but I have to respect you. As a man or a woman, you still need to be respected. If we have $4 million, I don't care what nobody says. I don't care about who's running for election. If you're not doing the job, you're not doing the job. We have a director, he's thrown up there, and he said, oh, well, I'm learning on the job. We don't have time to pay people on the job. On the job training, we done did that for years and see where it got us already. If we can move these things need to be moved immediately. If we need a playground, the playground should have been fixed already. I don't want to go in a meeting with somebody and sit there every 2 weeks and have a meeting with somebody and they promising me the same thing. And 5 months from now, it's the same thing. Oh, no, we don't do that. Your word is your bond. Your word make you a man or a woman. And if it's something that needs to be done, we need it done. Wherever we have trouble at, we're going to have trouble whether people like it or not. But when people see you fix things, people learn to respect you. Even if they don't like you, they respect you. Not here in this city here. We'll beat the man down with the blue pants on, and the lady with the wig on. We can't we can't get nothing moved. And at the end of the day, nobody don't never say anything. Nobody never says anything at all. As a person, as an individual, whatever decision that you make is supposed to be the betterment of our city. We got in this situation because of bad decision making. We were approving deals that we shouldn't have at this particular time. This is the new millennium. This is 2023. We're looking for change. If we're gonna fight them to the door, we're gonna go to the door, we're gonna go to war. It is what it is. It's not personal, it's business. And I don't believe that I'm gonna go two different ways. We have a CR director, we have a CRA chairperson, and you mean to tell me you can have a meeting with them as soon as you get out the door, everybody forget what you talked about? It's no way you forget. That means you have no intentions of doing the right thing. If you're going to do the job, do the job. We have a city manager get beat down every week, good or bad, agree to disagree. And the next commission meeting, you're gonna have the same beat down. When do things change? We have to get to a point where we have to grow in the city. And until we move these $4 million, we ain't doing nothing at Opa-locka. We're not gonna move anything until we move the $4 million. We ain't asking for $4 million. All we asking for is our playgrounds to be fixed. What would it hurt for them to come in here and answer the question? Nobody answered the question because they didn't have answers for it. That's why nobody came. But I'd rather know than not to know. And if you say something to a person, it's said. It could be me, it could be whoever. When you go to a job, everybody want to get paid. I don't think nobody goes to that job for free. And if I'm there for 1 hour, I want to be paid for the 1 hour. If I'm there for 20 minutes, I want to be paid for the 20 minutes. But you're not going to tell me that you can pay $80,000 a year and y'all cannot move. The director getting paid $80,000 a year and no movement. And you have a chairperson saying, oh, I don't know anything. Oh, we'll talk about it later. When we going to talk about it? Now is the time to make the correction. Time gonna pass and we're gonna be in trouble. And if we keep spending money the way everybody coming up with all these big ideas and we don't have any, we're gonna end up in a state of emergency all over again. This is why I said, dummy down your budget. Okay, we don't have $500,000. Okay, we can bring something here, but we don't have $500,000. Oh, we got $250,000. Okay, that's the $250,000 we have sure money. $500,000, we don't have $500,000.
Ms. Banks, through the chair.
To the chair and vice chair, to the clerk of the board. I want to read this. Ordinance number 13-27. Section A, power and duties. It states the Community Relations Recreation Activities Board shall be advisory to the city commission in regard to the following matters. 1, operations and maintenance of parks and recreation programs, facilities, and activities in the community. 2, all matters pertaining to community relations. 3, special activities and programs for the benefit of the city. Ms. Banks didn't write this. This is an ordinance, this is law for the city of Opa-locka. Which means this board, this is our duties. And we are giving you those duties. We ask for specific people to be here to answer these questions. We understand that our city manager is here to represent them. He's trying to do the best that he can to represent his staff. Second question is, the CRA chair is not staff. Where are they? Why are they not here? Maybe personally, there was another reason that they could not be here, but they should have been here because that's where the money is. And we can have another meeting, we can have 5 meetings, but if you're not going to take this board seriously and go by the law, which is right here, then I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my time because you guys are going to bounce around the money until next year sometime. And the 4 million will probably be gone by then. So take that in consideration to roll that around in your mind because this is the law for the city of Opa-locka. Any of our officers and police would say, hey, this is the law. We got to uphold the law. We're doing what we're supposed to do on this board. Chair and vice chair and the other board members, we are presenting information to you. We're asking to have this done. We're being told that the money is there. If the money is there, again, like we all have said, all we should be doing tonight is saying, I have 3 quotes for Shabandi Park right now. Which one of these quotes can, given this to the city manager, of course, who's in charge of day-to-day operations, which one of these vendors can we go through to get this playground on the field? So to me, it says we don't, I understand everybody saying we have the money, but if you have the money, then why not go? Is there a specific way we need to approach to see, maybe the whole board needs to go to the CRA meeting and show up at the meeting, okay?
How about that?
To just see what they're gonna say. Since they won't come to us, like I guess, like you say, take it to them. So do we, ma'am, Mr. Chair, do we all show up at the CRA board in order to present the information to them to see what they're gonna say? Because I don't know about y'all, but I take this very seriously. Being a resident and a taxpayer here, I take it very seriously. I respect our police department because that's their job to make sure that the laws are, enacted, okay? So now somebody should have been here from CRA. Somebody. We know how much money it is. You're telling us I got this amount of money, but yet we can't spend it. We're bouncing around and we're bouncing back about getting a playground. We're talking about our children for the city of Opa-locka, and we up here are bouncing around, playing around with the money. We're either gonna do it or we're not gonna do it. I'm done. Thank you.
Chair.
Just to go off something that Ms. Banks has said, this was adopted in September, the 25th day of September, 2013. And it's 5 years, folks. Commissioner Holmes, Commissioner Santiago, the late Commissioner Dottie, Lady Justice Johnson, Vice Mayor Kelly, and former Mayor Myra Taylor. 25th day, 2013, September. And it's not that they don't take us serious. That's the thing. They take us serious. That's why they don't want to stand in front of us. Mr. Manager, I commend you. I take my hat off to you. Because the one thing that I do understand is that they realize that the members on this board are serious about what we're talking about doing and what the commission has appointed us to do. But again, if we have individuals, and I didn't want to say what Ms. Banks said, but they are not staff. They're not city employees. The CRA in each municipality that has one is run separate from the city. So I do understand that. So there's no excuse of why anyone was here. I don't want to hear about vacation. There's a chairperson there. I'm quite sure if I'm not here for any meeting, there's enough board members up here that are capable to carry the meeting on. And not just carry the meeting on, but then stand in the front and do what needs to do for this board to move forward. The seriousness of this nature. The Arabian Nights is one thing. Children are something else. The Arabian Nights is for some children and some people to see something, and then everybody gonna be out having a good time. But children see swings on the park every day. They want to swing. They don't care about the Arabian Nights or jazz in the gardens or anything else. All they see is swings in the playground, and that's what they want to do. So let me put a motion on the floor. I'd like to put a motion on the floor that this entire body appear before the CRA to get answers to the question that we're asked concerning not just the $4 million, but why won't they support the purchasing of a playground, not just on Shabani Park, but all our parks.
Second,
Moved by
Right.
Board Member Wright, second by Vice Chair Roberts.
roll call.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Roll call, Ms. C. Banks,
Yes.
Ms. Angelina Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Brian Dennis,
Yes.
Ms. Flo Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Kimberly Downer,
Yes.
Ms. Magley Cherry.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0 successfully.
We want to move down now to
To the chair.
yes, Mr. Manager.
Before you move off of that item, I want to provide you with the numbers that we have. I still am going to submit to all the board members a breakdown of those numbers. We have $150,000 is the cost for the change of the Sherbundi playground and $250,000 for the improvements at Siegel Park, which include the replacement of the walking trails and the new equipment. So that's $250,000 for Siegel and $150,000 for Shabandi.
We have $4 million. That shouldn't be a problem.
As the Vice Chair said, we have $4 million. That's a drop in the bucket. That's 10%.
All right,
Thank you for your report, Mr. Manager.
Absolutely.
Chair.
Ms. Wright through the chair.
I want to say something. I think that with this CRA going on and everything that's going on, if they're not in the best interest of our city, then they shouldn't be sitting up there. This is what the problem entitles in the city of Opa-locka. Everybody's about I, and you know, somebody wants to be, oh, I'm the one that did this. I'm not the one that did that, but it's all of us. That's why we're a community that needs repair. And until we don't begin to become a community, we're never going to get ahead, because to sit on $4 million, but yet you want to build a downtown Opa-locka, and then 2 blocks down, and I take it personally because I can't take my granddaughters to play in the playground. I'd rather for you to fix the park so they could play than to build a downtown or bring a Starbucks or whatever it is in downtown Opa-locka. That's, to me, I think that's, and until we don't become a community, we're never going to move forward. And we put these people in place. We continue to put these people in place because such and such know this, such and such know this person, and such know this person. That's how they get to be in place. And when you have somebody that wants to do something for the city and is willing to do something, we push them away because it's not part of our little clique that we have. And that's what we need to stop, having little cliques, because I don't look the same as this little clique. That doesn't mean that I don't want to bring change to Opa-locka. And this is what we're having right now. And we don't understand that Opa-locka has different diversities. We got Haitians, we got Cubans, we got Mexicans, we got a whole city that is changing. But yet, because they don't look the way we do, and somebody comes here at the commission meetings or whatever, and they want to come bring change, we push them away because, oh, they don't know. They only been here so long. They're not part of our cliques. We need to stop having these little cliques so we can move forward.
We'd like to move on to the next item. Review of summer scholarships.
I have a recommendation.
Through the chair, Ms. Roberts.
We need to get the information out in the community to find out the high school graduates. So that one can apply and see if they're eligible for the actual scholarship. And how you do that. We have some schools that we could reach out to. We can get the flyers out. We need to somehow get the PR firm or someone, not just the PR firm, get someone on their feet to get flyers out, to let people know that the teenagers that's getting ready to graduate high school, which half of them will be gone by the time the scholarship go in effect anyway, so that they will be at least apply for the $1,000 grant. And we need to expedite it. Because at this point, we should have had some form of response by now. But we don't have anybody. We have one person that received a scholarship a year ago, and she's still waiting on the money, the $1,000. She never received it 2 years ago, and she still haven't received the money. And the response to it is, we don't want to put the $1,000 in the people's hand, the person's hand. Once you give them the $1,000, it's $8,000.
I'm a little befuddled here. We have someone that applied for a scholarship for school, and they haven't received any funding, haven't received the dollars 2 years ago. Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, after the commission meeting where we discussed the scholarship, I received a call and they wanted to correct me because I said it took her a really long time to get it. But they told me that Antoinette Mitchell to date has never received her check. It has been cashed by Miami-Dade because they're not going to hold on to the check, but she never received any of the money.
To the board. I will
Mr.
definitely,
Manager.
thank you. I will definitely look into this. My understanding was the check was submitted to, and this was before my watch.
Yes, it was.
Obviously, but I'm here now. The buck stops with me. So this is my responsibility to make sure it gets fixed, and we shall make sure it gets fixed. Upon the first review, it was my understanding that the check went to Miami-Dade College. Miami-Dade College cashed it and credited toward her account. So she did not have to pay those additional expenses. If that is not correct, we will definitely revisit that with Miami-Dade College.
Okay, and she's going to give me the paperwork to that, so I'll give it to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
And I will report back to the board the status.
Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Cherry, and then Ms. Downer.
In regards to the scholarship. In regards to the scholarships and the flyers, if you go on our city site, and I do follow, Commissioner, Ronnie, it's on there. The requirements are on there. The deadline is June 2nd. So the information is out there. Are people seeing the information? I don't know, but the information is out there. The requirements, the GPA is 2.75, have to be an Opa-locka resident, and the deadline is June 2nd by 12 p.m. So the flyer's there.
Chair,
Ms. Banks, through the chair.
This is something
Chair.
we have to deal with in. the
Hold up, Ms.
city.
Banks, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Downer, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, because basically last year, when I applied to the actual scholarship, but the thing is, I applied the week that the deadline was coming, because I didn't know about it, although I live in the city. Most of like getting the information out, although it's posted on the city website, it's in the calendar. And last year it wasn't in the calendar, so it wasn't easy to actually find. But when it comes to this year, I know that you're getting out the flyers, you're letting people know about it, but an easier way, since most seniors, like not just the school, but the actual counselors at the school, if you reach each counselor personally, they have all seniors' emails, because say tomorrow is Hialeah Miami Lakes graduation. After tomorrow, those seniors won't return back to the school, so they won't know about it. But they are still checking their emails, because they have to wait for their email, like the transcripts to come through for each college through their actual email. So if you send it to counselors and those counselors get it out to those students, that would be an easier way for you to actually reach out to those students. So you have Hialeah Miami Lakes, Carroll City, Central, Turner Tech, and a couple of other schools around us that you can actually reach out to. And then in regards to what happened 2 years ago, when it comes to Miami-Dade, because I currently attend there, last year it was better, since we were actually handed the checks ourselves. We can cash it and put it towards what we want to do, if it was registering for another class, paying for books, or getting something else. But when it goes to Miami-Dade automatically puts it towards your class. So it doesn't matter if you have a scholarship, because right now I'm a rising scholar. But if I have FAFSA coming in and I have Bright Futures and FAFSA will cover my classes first, and then the scholarship kicks in to cover whatever is left. But if there isn't anything left, they put it to your next school year. So although she didn't personally get it in hand, but 2 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was to actually be sent to the actual college. So since it was already credited or cashed, Miami-Dade used it for her class.
Ms. Banks, through the chair.
I don't want to yield from it, because Ms. Kimberly, our board member Kimberly, kind of brought out some of the things that I wanted to bring out. But I do want to bring this to the attention again. And I know, with all due respect to our commissioners, they have brought it out many a times. We not only have to put it online, but we have a PR firm that has been brought in to make sure, and they're paid very well. They're paid very well to make sure that this information gets out. Information within, I went through the 97th birthday, and in the community, a lot of people say, what? We got a 97th birthday going on? They didn't know anything about it. I'm in the community. And believe you me, Ms. Banks is in the community, okay? Nobody knew anything about it. But we got a PR firm that we're paying good money to get it out there. Sometimes we have to, and I know, and Miss Ray knows, I know. In Parks and Recreation, her staff probably takes flyers and go and take them to the schools and things like that. And thank goodness we do that, because otherwise the community would not know. We have to also bear in mind that we have, I don't know how to say it, but we have an elite generation that is not all into this. The older ones, they don't even know how to begin. I deal with some of the seniors on the move, and they tell me, how do I do that? And some of them got children, grandchildren that are old enough, they don't know how to do it. So we have to have other means. The city has to find other means of getting information out to the community other than online. Cities, it's a problem for us. You can get, our commissioners have events, they can get good people to come out.
Through
But
the
they
chair
already
to
doing
to
it.
Board Member Banks.
Mr. Manager.
I'm glad you brought this up, Board Member Banks, because it is an issue.
It isn't.
Our actual, and it's not at the administration level, it's at the commission level. And if I don't get the votes I need to remain here for saying that actually needs to be brought out. Let's talk about the facts. One of the events for the city's 97th birthday party, the city administration did not get the details for that event until the Wednesday before the event. You could have Willy Wonka as your PR firm. They are not going to be able to get out all of the information to all the residents 3 days before the event, when the city manager does not even know the details of the event, literally 3 days before the event. Our ordinance actually says that the events are supposed to be submitted 90 days before the event date. I've been your city manager for over a year now, and I've yet to see that happen. PR firms, city administration, we need time. We need time to push out these events, getting the program for event the Wednesday before the event, and the flyer for the event the Friday before. What am I going to do with that flyer? Thank you.
Chair.
Ms. Wright.
Mr. Manager, I know that where I work and I deal with District 3, I'm not gonna say his name, but his office requires that any event that's gonna go on in the city has to be 2 months or ahead before they could even promote it or whatever it is that they need. And so somehow we have to establish that, because our community, they don't know what's going on. They just know, and that's why you see the same individuals attending the same things, and then you wonder why they don't participate, because they don't know. Especially the Spanish people. I'm just sitting here, the Spanish speaking people, they don't know what's going on. Nobody tells them.
To the chair, to Board Member Wright.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you. I could not agree with you more. And I believe in accountability, and I believe some people say I'm somewhat harsh on the staff, but we work hard and well together, because we all hold each other accountable. So I don't mind holding staff accountable, and I don't mind being held accountable if I'm given the time and resources to execute. And that's what's required. That's what's needed. If we're notified of an event 90 days in advance and only 5 people show up, yes, that's a conversation we need to have. What was the breakdown at administration? You had 90 days to put this together. But oftentimes, even in the resolution, there are 2 resolutions that were just passed by that commission that directed me to put together very important workshops with 45 days. In 45 days. To put together a workshop, important workshops where we really want the residents and the business community to come back and provide us with their input. I can't even get it into our mailer in that time. And that's if I had it ready to go the next day. So it's just doesn't seem to be an understanding and a support of administration working for the success. I go back to the ARPA workshop. The ARPA workshop had 65 attendees. That's the highest resident attendees that I have seen in the city of Opa-locka. You know why? We gave ourselves time to put those mailers out, to put the mailers out in the water bill. So every resident that got those water bills, and I heard some complaints about that, but that was still the highest attended workshop. And it's because we had time to put that together. We had time to put it on the social media. We had time to put that on the website. We had time to mail it out, and in an affordable way. And if we do not get that time, if we do not get those resources, you're going to continue to see the same people at these events. And I feel strongly about it as a city manager, because those events are expensive. The average commission event costs a minimum of $5,000. And think about that, when the average event is only attended by 20 people. So you're spending hundreds of dollars per person for the same people. And we have a community of 16,426 people. So yes, I, I, I engaged the top best PR firm that I could get to come into the city of Opa-locka for that purpose. But we cannot spend gold from hay. We've got to get some time. We've got to get some planning from our commission.
Chair, one moment, please.
Chair,
Chair, city manager, with all due respect, and I respect that at the most, because we can't review our city manager if he gets things at the last minute. How do we know what he's capable of doing if he gets it in time? Or how far he can take us if he gets it in time? This has been a problem here with our city for a long time now. And with every new people we get that comes in, everything has changed. We have a protocol here with the city that's been established. As an executive secretary, you can make your boss or you can break your boss. You can. If it says in our charter and it tells us in our protocol and our policies and procedures, and with our commissioners, I hear commissioners say, with all due respect, I just got this. I haven't had time to review it. Why? Why? What's the workers doing? You know, I say that because don't forget, Ms. Banks worked there too. I had to have it ready. I worked it by myself, and you still had to have it ready for the commission. There was no excuses. It had to be ready. So we can't continue to work that way. When our commission comes together and they get on our city manager and they come together and they say, hey, we need to, and our PBA and our unions, they come together and they say, we need to pay our employees. Our employees need to be held responsible for getting, and all right, if a commissioner in the past, if a commissioner wanted to have an event, I'm quoting what used to be because protocols change with new staff, protocols change. Policies and procedures are rewritten to satisfy how they want to do the job. But in the past, the curriculum and the policies and procedures for the city said that if a commissioner was given $5,000 to hold an event, and if that commissioner wanted to have an event, then they would have to submit a synopsis of what that event is going to be, down to the T. I don't want to call any names of any ex-commissioners or any of them that I've worked with, including money. If money was handled, it came through the city manager. We validated that. We made sure the city clerk got it. We made sure the finance department got it. But how will we know if we get things at the last minute? So what are our staff doing? The commission is voting to give them raises. The city manager is fighting. I watched the commission meeting go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, to give our staff money that they need. Some of them hadn't had raises in 10 years, okay? Some of them longer than that. But we have got to come up to par. If our commission, and the pressure has to be put where the pressure needs to be. If our commission wants to have an event, then that breakdown needs to be in. It needs to be gotten into our city clerk so that she knows it's going to go to the key people who know that it's going to be set up. But first to the city manager. So city manager can have an idea. You know, we can't keep getting rid of city managers simply because we want to get rid of them. We don't never know what they can do unless we allow them to do the capacity and to do it right in a professional manner that upholds the city and keeps us going. Okay. I'm speaking truth, people. I'm not speaking. Forget about Miss Banks. I have to say this. Forget about Miss Banks, the little old lady here. But let's think about what's right for our city, for our community. Okay. Our commission wants to have an event. That event should be thought out, and I'm sure all of our commissioners decide on what kind of events they want to have. Then they have to have ample enough time to get the information to the secretaries or the assistants, the administrative assistants for the city manager. So city managers can get that information. He can look it over and say, okay, what I used to do is we used to actually, prior city managers used to make an appointment for each commissioner to sit down and say, what do you want to do? What is your projections of what kind of events you want? What is this? If there was any paperwork that came, that paperwork was submitted by the secretary, prepared by the city manager. City manager would then have the secretary deliver that to the city clerk, who in turn would make sure the city commission gets it. They had ample and enough time to review it and not come before this commission and look like, I just got it. I really can't. And then some of them are forced to vote on it. They really need to vote because time is running out. And I sit and I watch it, this is not play for me. This is real.
It's gonna be.
Because I too am a resident and a taxpayer out there. I want to be able to see our kids be able to go and play on the playground and not have a lawsuit filed, which is going to increase everything else for us. It's going to cause our employees not to get raises because we got litigation going everywhere. Come on, we got to wake up. I'm just piggybacking on what Miss Roberts said. We got to start making changes. And if we're ever going to move forward, and city managers, we can get 20 city managers, but we have to do our part too. Commission, our police, our everybody, okay? Every department has to do it. But the city manager has to have it in his hands first. If he gets it 5 days later, and you want an event on the third day, what's that? And then you want to review it and say, well, he's not doing his job. That's not right. That's not right. And then again, we have commission city managers that's not doing their job. We have to handle them the same way we handle our employees that's not doing their job. We have to get rid of them so that we can get somebody in who's going to represent us.
Chair. Okay,
Ms. Roberts.
this is where I'm at with it. The PR firm. I'm all for everybody making money. I'm all for everybody doing that, but I believe that the PR firm should discover Opa-locka on their time. We shouldn't have had a 97th birthday, and they was walking through the birthday with the people trying to promote their own personal business. I know that's not bidded in their contract because they wanted more money. All of those things, we need to really seek different angles. Try different angles. I think the young lady that came out, she did a wonderful job. She did everything that she was supposed to do. But when you have a PR firm that does really nothing to promote Opa-locka, everybody don't have social media. The young people, that's what everybody live up. Sometimes I shut mine down. When I want to be bothered with people, I just shut mine down. And then I come back when I feel like being bothered. But you have a lot of people that don't have social media at all. But as a person, as an individual, in order to market this city, we have to think positive and we have to do positive things. We spend more time degrading people here and disrespecting people here than moving this city. The decisions that we make here, I don't give people excuses. Well, I got the paperwork laid and this, that, and the other. Everybody that was voted in on the dais, be it my sister, best friend, Vice Mayor Irvin, knew the job when they took it on. You knew that when you took it on. You knew if it was going to be, you didn't know if it was going to be a good job or a bad job, but you knew it came with stipulation. You knew it came with situations. It came with a lot of different things. But as a person, as the individuals, you're supposed to be able to make an adjustment. You might not like every decision. Well, I don't need nobody to piggy bank on. You make a decision. I'm saying the same thing you're saying the same thing. That's not how everybody's supposed to have their own personal opinion on a decision. We might not always agree on it or whatever the situation. Time is everything. Don't give me a paper and tell me to vote on it. I'm not under that much pressure when I'm going to vote on anything that I have not read and I have not paid attention to. We have a whole community, and let's get away from this color where people don't get information. Me and Vice Mayor gets on the back of the truck and ride around in this community, black, white, green, purple, Hispanic, whatever, and we meet the people and we talk to them, and 80% of the people know and they chose not to come. And I could tell you that because we do it a lot. We're gonna leave the being in a diverse community where the people don't reach out and you don't know, that's not it. It's just that people see Opa-locka in a bad way, and we have to change the outlook on what they see. And once you change that, people will start getting more involved. Most of the people I deal with every day, they speak to me in Spanish, Creole, everything. And guess what? They don't even know if I speak Creole or Spanish or not. But I deal with everybody the same way every single day. And if you speak to them, they're going to say, oh yeah, the lady, oh, whatever it is. They don't know my name or whatever, but I could tell you everybody's business in Opa-locka. They'll be speaking to me in Spanish. I'd be just nodding my head or whatever the situation is, whatever. I'd never disrespect them because sometimes you don't know what a person going through. This city here will make you or break you. You'll come here with your shoes on right, they'll be on left when you walk out the door. when you play with the city of Opa-locka. And that's a known fact. This is something that we've been following since 1992. And we done seen so many people come and so many people go. I believe if people do their jobs here and people respect each other, we'll develop this city. This city have greatness. It's a lot of things that we can improve here, but we need people to improve this city. This 6 people up here is not going to change the city of Opa-locka. That's not going to happen. The 5-man diets is not going to change. The people have to change the city of Opa-locka. And until we get that concept, we're not going to change here. We pay everybody big dollars here. I don't think nobody don't want to work. Nobody on the, I take it back. All the little people might not want to work here. The big people want to work here because they get paid top dollar to be here. But everybody that hold a title here or you have a job to do, we need to do our job. Or whatever. We don't make excuses for them. We make changes. We can get hit today. You can get hit tomorrow. Changes need to be made. That applies to me, you, or whatever. If you make $5 or $10, when you have a job, if you go to Burger King, if you don't do the job, they're going to fire you. You know, get in the community, get involved. We host events all the time. And it's very rare that we don't have people to show up because we have a team of people that we run our own media. We don't need the PR people. And they end up successful. But you have to get out in the community. We ride in the hot sun. We be sitting out there with umbrellas, meet the people in the community. We do it all the time. This is how we know most of the stuff. When you ride up in the community and the people say, oh, y'all got a diet? Oh, y'all got a commission? You know, do y'all have one? You're like, yeah, they have one. Oh, I didn't even know they exist. But it happens. We have to get involved. Here we go, so we can go home. I'm sorry.
Chair,
Let me go ahead, Ms. Donna.
just one quick thing to go back towards the scholarships. I would recommend that for next year, instead of doing everything where we have to turn it in like paper wise to the clerk upstairs, you can instead make a portal on the actual city website to where the person just logs in, they can enter in all their information, they can actually scan like the their parents' information if they have to do like a bill or anything like that, and that way they turn it into the clerk, and then afterwards if the clerk says that they need to add anything else or it's rejected, they could always, like she said, give them a call or re-upload it to the portal and then send it in that way. So that way you can reach more people, because even with students that have to go summer term, like some students, like last year, there were only 3 of us that actually applied to the scholarship. I'm here. The second recipient, she goes to Nova, so she's still in the community. The third attends FAMU. With her, she had to get her actual parents to turn in her information to the clerk, and then she was on the Zoom when we received our checks. So that way, if even for her, it would have been better for her to be able to turn everything in online. That's my only recommendation.
Okay, let me preface this matter by closing with this here. I'm sitting at a contract. I'm sitting here looking at a contract that was signed the 15th of November on the 2022. At a commission meeting on the 14th of November of 2022 that it was approved. I'm in section 4 of the contract. Section 4, 4.1 is the section. And we paying them $144,000 a year. That's $12,000 a month. Now, if you want the real Brian Dennis, you get the real Brian Dennis now. Because I deal with paperwork. And I would almost guarantee you that if I go through 40 pages, I could find a way through 40 of these pages to find all type of things that they don't violate and I could void this entire contract. Because any event that the city is having, it is poorly attended. And we're talking about dollars. Now watch this here. It's $150,000 to replace the playground on Shabandi, but we paying them $144,000. We got $125,000 for police, but then if we add that $144,000, we just a few thousand short of $250,000. I would almost guarantee you, if I go by line item in 40 pages, I can highlight every violation of what they have done with this city and how scarcely and poorly our events have been attended. Does that sound like a PR firm doing what it's supposed to do? Because a PR firm, from what my understanding, is supposed to have avenues to everybody. TV, radio, social media, however it needs to get out, it's out there, billboard, whatever. The flyers that they put in the mail, I forgot how they call it, marriage mail, how it goes out in marriage.
Okay. So now that 3 unbearable events for that day that we have to make happen. So it is an inconvenience. It is. It's a lot of work when you're out here doing the work and making it happen. It becomes overbearing. It's a lot. From sun up to sundown. It's what we're gonna be doing Friday, the 16th of June.
Vice Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. I'll go to the
what time the
next.
fish gonna be ready?
The fish fry is gonna be from 12 to 2 at Ingram Park. It's for mostly for our employees, but any female that is in the city could come have lunch with us. We welcome them. It's for Father's Day. Also, because God want me to hurry up and get home. Okay, baby, we're gonna let you speak. Okay, hold on. I recently asked a question. Could the CR, and I think I'm asking the wrong person the questions, because based upon what I heard on the radio in Tamarack and what Mrs. Banks just read out to us, I asked, could the CRA do certain things in the community, like events, like I'm just gonna say like a karaoke. And I was told no, that they couldn't. So I said, well, what is the difference between Tamarack, who just had a whole comedy show for their city and it was on the radio? Why can't Opa-locka CRA do the same thing? So I'm going to say that we can most definitely do those things based upon what Mrs. Banks said, what Tamarack did, and I must be asking the wrong people the wrong questions, but I'll get into that with somebody else. I told you, and I think that's all that I have to say for tonight. Thank you all. You know, I always tell y'all how jealous I am of your board. This is my board. I'm jealous. I'm eager to work with you all. And let me say, by our next meeting, we have to have a date for the Arabian Nights. That's our first starting point. Let's come up with a date. Once we get that date, then we can move forward, because we have to now start putting that stuff in place. And you know, if it comes to a point where this is me speaking because I'm not the city manager, but if we come to a place where the people say they need a deposit or they need stuff like that, we do have that $50,000 that was allotted for this year that we could probably use if we have to make deposits or so forth. Am I correct, sir? Yes, that's a yes. He shook his head yes. Thank you. That's our starting point. And I think once we get that done, we can move effectively. I'm looking forward to working with whomsoever. I like to plan stuff. That's what we do. I'm looking forward to working with whomsoever to make this happen. And I'm leaving. My granddaughter wants to say something, and I have to say it has nothing to do with this agenda, but if you all would let her say what she has to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Madison Forston. And my complaint is last summer at summer camp, the food that they were giving us was not good. They were giving us mystery meat. And it's I think that if y'all could fix that, then you might not get complaints from any other people. If you could fix that, thank you.
Well, sweetie, we know you too young to go to jail. So the mystery meat, we know you weren't at the county. So we will do our best to figure out what the mystery meat was. Let me, before we close, let me welcome our new board member, Ms. Magda Cherry, been appointed by Ms. Bass. Once again, we like to our city manager for appearing at our board. Thank you so much for appearing. Let me apologize to Ms. Downer, because I did say I was going to try to the meeting short. I apologize to you, so. Can we have a motion to dismiss?
Move it.
Second.
Motion, move to second. Moved by Ms. Rice, second by Ms. Roberts.
It's terrible. I think it's a program that they have not seen. And they get bigger, they get bigger, yeah. I'm gonna ask you a question. But, you know, according to Miami-Dade, actually, the food program, they use a company called Nutrient Farm. And Barack Obama, right, went into nutrition and all that. It's nasty.
They didn't stop us from being.
I agree with you, Dan. Yeah. Oh, it's bad.